Hello everybody, this is Mindy Gower and this is my Module 12 for EDL 850 School Law covering tort liability. So after reading through the online articles that were given to me and watching a couple different videos and talking to a couple different superintendents and my principal, I decided that I need to explain what a tort is before I explain what a tort liability is. So this is the definition that I found on one of the articles that were given to us. A tort is a civil wrong that causes someone else to suffer loss or harm resulting in legal liability for the person who commits the tortious act. On the other hand, a tort liability is the legal obligation of one party to a victim as a result of a civil wrong or injuries. So those two, you can see, go together really well. So like I said, I went through and read articles covering torts and tort liabilities, and I went through and read about a variety of tort cases that have gone on in schools. It was crazy to me how many tort cases have actually occurred in schools, and it's good to know all this information that I took in so that I can take it with me as I become an administrator, so I know how to handle these situations if they occur. So the first tort case that I researched is Johnson Johnson v. School District of Millard. Through this case, it was a first grader at an elementary school, and he was injured while he was dancing. His teacher was teaching the whole class how to do the London Bridge. She definitely said during the court case that she told the children not to act silly and told the children not to swing their arms too hard, but that is exactly what happened. A kid was swung way too fast and hard. The kid said that he was screaming and telling the teacher that he needed some help, but nothing was done about it. So in this case, the first grader was awarded money for his medical expenses, permanent disfiguration, and $5,000 for pain and suffering. So this was definitely a huge case that really opened my eyes. So if this happened in my school, what reactive measures would I take? I would definitely make sure the rules are explained to the students. I would pay for the medical expenses if that is what the attorney of my school told me to do, and I'd question the other charges that go with our attorney recommendations. So as long as we have a school attorney and he believes that we need to pay those expenses, then we are going to pay those expenses, learn from the experience, and move on. What proactive measures would you do to prevent such torts from happening? Well, I would explain the rules to the students. I would need to make sure that my students know the rules, like in every single detail. I know that they can't swing too hard. They know that they can't hold their hands or hold each other's hands too hard. I just need to make sure that each student knows that we can't get out of control, because bad things do happen. Okay, so describe how a set of professional ethics that would be beneficial with regards to tort liability. Ethics would be important to show what you should or should not do in certain situations, and this would also be a proof if a tort claim occurs that teachers were instructed to do the right thing. Okay, so after that tort case, I went on to research about Mitchell versus Cedar Rapids. So during this tort case, the mother of a special education student sued the school district for the damages that her son obtained by another student. So during this case, two students went off campus during school hours, and one was actually raped by another. And this is so sad to hear about, and I'm so sorry that this happened, but in this case, the school was actually not punished because they do not have to legally be in charge of that student if they leave. So if this happened at my school, I would definitely believe that our school would be fine in this case because the school isn't in charge of students from a third party, like I mentioned before. But if it were to happen in this case, I would make sure that my students know the rules. They need to know that they can't leave school, and if they do, they need to have permission to leave school from their parents, because we do not want these kind of things to be happening. Along with that, what proactive measures would I do to prevent such torts from happening? Like I said, the rules will be explained, and if they do leave campus, then they will have consequences. The third tort case that I went over was Richardson vs. Corvallis. This one was actually kind of crazy to me, but I guess it happens. But during this case, a mom went and dropped off her student at school and went in to explain why her son was late. And as she was walking back out, she slipped and fell on the snow that was in grass, and then went on to sue the school. So she complained and testified that there was a path across the snow in the grass. So that is definitely like what she testified to the school, or what she testified to the court. But since it's grass, the school did not get in trouble. So once again, if this happened in my school, what reactive measures do you think would have occurred as a result? Well, I'm going to make sure that the sidewalks are clear. We're not going to be responsible for removing the snow from the grass, because we're going to be moving the snow off the sidewalk into the grass. But we would go over our measures to clear snow and ice from walkways and parking lots, but not grassy areas. I believe the school is fine in this case, as it is well accepted that you're supposed to walk on sidewalks that have no snow on them, not cut across the grass when it's snowy. What proactive measures would you do to prevent such torts from happening? I would definitely just go ahead and explain all those rules to my students again. I need to remind my students to walk on the sidewalks. We can put it into our handbooks. We can post posters, anything like that. So the fourth tort case that I went on to research about was Flanagan versus Canton. So this one was where two boys were in the locker room and one went and pushed another. So this one, I could definitely see both sides of it, but one of the students' mothers went on to sue the school because there was not enough supervision in the locker room. So I do understand this, but again, students should know the rules in the locker room. They should not be pushing one another because they know the consequences behind that. So what I would do as a result, I would remind the teachers to be in the locker room, have rules and expectations for students, follow through on misbehavior and consequences if something were to happen. How I would be proactive, I would go over these things at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. I always need to keep my students refreshed on the rules. Have a meeting with the kids and their parents if they're going to be in the locker room. They need to know those expectations and they need to know those rules. And then the last thing, I can see why the court did not rule negligence, as you should be able to trust kids to shower and change without pushing each other down and needing surgery. So I need to make sure that the teacher is present and make sure rules and expectations have been followed. But I believe the school wins this appeal. The last case that I went on to research was Hoyam versus Manhattan Beach City School. This one was actually pretty crazy to me because I didn't know how the tort case was going to be ruled. It was pretty hard to hear that a kid did get hurt on school campus, but it's like, what do you do when your student knows the rules but doesn't abide by them? During this case, a 10-year-old boy was attending summer school and his mom dropped him off, but he decided not to, well, since he was there 10 minutes early, he decided not to go in early, and he ended up leaving the school premises and got hit by a vehicle. And so then, after that, the mother sued the school for not having proper supervision over her son after she left. So if this happened in my school, I would listen to my school attorney on his thoughts on what our action should be. If we do have to pay for his injuries, then we will go ahead and do that, but I don't believe that we had to in this case, and they didn't have to in that case because the school was not in charge of that student at that time because he was off school premises. He knows that he should be going inside the school. What proactive measures would you do to prevent such torts from happening? Students should be taught the rules about what they should do when they get to school campus. If you arrive 10 minutes early, then you arrive 10 minutes early. That's okay. Go into your classroom, get your materials ready. They should know those rules. And that is what I'm going to do as a future administrator. I'm going to make sure that my students know the rules of what to do when they get on school campus so nothing like this happens. And these are my references. So definitely those tort cases really opened my eyes, and I know that I can take those to my advantage and use them as a future administrator, because what I learned through those will really help me if I'm ever put into a situation like that. I hope you guys enjoy. I really can't wait to watch you guys'. Thank you.